All right. Well, welcome, guys, to our Vintage Grace live chat. This is just such a cool opportunity for me. One of our heartbeats as a church is just to find ways to serve the city. So, if you're a part of Vintage Grace, we use that SEND acronym, and the S stands for Serve the City. We believe it's one of the reasons why we exist as a church is to be people that are givers, to love people, to lead people, and to live with people in their context. And our context today is we're all either hiding in our offices or in our living rooms. I'm in my dining room. And it's just a blast for me to have two friends join me on this chat. Aaron Palm is the principal at Oak Ridge, our local high school here. And then Cheryl Olson is our district superintendent, who's on the top of the screen there for Rescue School District. And so, again, it's a gift for me because this is a man and a woman who want to serve the city. It's why they do what they do. My wife used to be a high school teacher, and so I know that no teachers are getting into this area of service for the money or the fame, but they are getting in because they love kids, they love families, they love education. And so as we're here today, I just wanted to start off by really just saying thank you to you two for leading and loving and doing so selflessly and really serving our city. I've got kids in junior high and in elementary school, and so it's just a gift to have you guys. So Cheryl, as you lead our district, Aaron, I know we even have a kid at the same school. My kids aren't in high school yet, but they'll be there soon. So just thank you guys. So let's start with you, Cheryl. How long have you been in education? And then what does that role look like for your rescue union? And why did you dive into this?
Well, this is my 40th year. So I've been in this profession for a very long time. And it's just, I have always loved it. Every single day I can say I can hardly wait to go to work. I taught for 18 years before going into administration. This is my third year as superintendent of rescue, and I just love this community. I love living where I work because to me, it's really important to be able to see families and kids and staff when I go into Safeway or to the church or wherever I am in the area.
I love it. And you saw Aaron and I, our eyes got big, because I don't know how you've been in this job for 40 years when you're only 40 years old. So that's just a real thing. We're going, how's that even possible? So Aaron, how about you? How long have you been doing this and what have the roles looked like for you?
I've been doing this for 20 years. I started off in the Bay Area as a teacher. I've done a variety of other jobs, from being like an instructional coach to mentoring new teachers to dean of students, assistant principal, not principal, started a virtual high school up the hill in Placerville, did that for 3 years. I moved out to this area in 2006 just for to have a better life experience, to get out of the Bay Area, the cost of living. And, when you move to a new area, you're never quite sure if it's going to be a good fit. You have an idea, but there's just something about El Dorado Hills that has just really synced with me. And I immediately identified with it as home. And just like Cheryl said, I couldn't imagine doing this job and living someplace else. I love living in El Dorado Hills. I like running into people at the gym, running into them at the grocery store, chatting with people. It's just so much easier when you're, and for Cheryl and I, this isn't like a job. We're not trying to like separate our job and our personal life. It's all one thing, right? So it's like, when you're doing something like this, or you go to an outing and, people see you there, or you're serving multiple purposes. I know I really like to spend a lot of time volunteering with Rotary and helping them out. It's all just connected because this is it's not a job. It's a passion. Like if I didn't have this as a job, I'd still find something to do in education because it's what fuels me.
Cool. And I know the three of us kind of share that. Even as a pastor, people say, well, what are your hours? What do you mean, what are my hours? Like, I don't ever not work because I love what I do.
Just call me.
Yeah, whether it's at the gym or the grocery store or whatever that looks like. And so thank you guys just for modeling that. I'm just speaking as a dad, as a husband, myself. What does it look like for us to lead and love people? And you guys have done that well in our community. And I'm just grateful to have served here. Now, part of why I invited you guys to this chat is because we as a church are fighting through what does it look like to live in our new normal. I just got off a staff Zoom call. Aaron, you and I were joking. We've been staring at these dumb little cameras at the top of our computer for what feels like the last 5 weeks straight. I don't even know if we should call it new normal anymore, because now it's just normal, right? Like it's new, but it's not. We're getting used to it. And so one of our hearts as a church was just simply saying, can you guys help us in our new normal, give us some wisdom. I'm a dad of 3 kids, multiple Zoom calls. My wife and I actually do have a background as educators teaching at universities and for her at high school, but still we're working full time. We're trying to help our kids. We don't want to screw them up. And so we've got some questions and answers. If you're watching the live video now, you can still be emailing in those questions to info@vintagegrace.org. It's not too late to do that. We've got a team that's kind of filtering through those, but we've gotten a bunch just over the last 24 hours. But before we dive into the Q&A time, I'd love to give you guys just each a couple of minutes to just give us a word of wisdom. I mean, that's a lot of experience that you guys bring. You're also both parents before you're public educators and professional educators. I don't think any of us are professional parents. We're just learn on the job kind of training. But any wisdom, and Cheryl, let's start with you. Just any wisdom that you would offer us as parents in this new normal, in this new season.
Okay. Well, first of all, I just have to say that I am so proud of our teachers, our administrators, our staff, our kids, our parents, families. And I see us in the Rescue District as operating as a giant family. And to me, and I'm going to get emotional about this because I really mean it, this has never been more apparent than it is right now as we navigate this unprecedented time. Our families are banding together with us to make the very best of a difficult situation. Every day, I receive emails, phone calls, texts from families sharing how they're doing, asking questions, letting us know that they're glad to be partnering with us through this journey. And my heart really does go out to you, our parents, because not only are you dealing with your own job or worse, a furlough from a job, but now you're having to navigate being a homeschool teacher too. And that's so hard. It's just daunting. And, none of us really know what to do. But I just want to say, give yourselves grace. Do the best you can. We're all in this together, that is for sure. We know that at the end of all this, we'll be working to bring our kids where they need to be, but it's going to be okay. And I have a favorite author. His name's John Gordon, and he sent out a message this week about how there is no rule book of how to handle during the course of a global pandemic, because the rules and social norms have completely changed right now. And he really went on to say that we shouldn't ignore or deny our feelings. We were used to seeing our colleagues at work. We were used to going to the store, going to restaurants, watching our kids play sports, going to church, rooting for our favorite teams, and now we can't. We're not used to seeing a daily count on TV of how many people have died, and now we are. So it's okay to be scared sometimes, nervous, frustrated, as long as we don't stay there too long and allow those feelings to tear us down. But we have to find that optimism, hold on to our hope and our faith to keep going and to create a better place. We're going to come through this stronger on the other side. I know that. And we just need to shift our perspective, turn our pain into purpose, and our struggle into strength. And so I think with that said, the most important thing you can do for your kids and for your families right now is to show your kids the confidence that it is going to be okay. We are going to make it through this. Love on your kids. Play with them. Treasure that additional time that you have without the outside distractions of, going to work or activities or obligations that you have. And I can't tell you enough that it just has touched my heart profoundly to hear story after story of extra special rekindling of family bonds, whether by playing board games together, going on bike rides, going on walks, reading together, cooking dinner together, whatever it is, it's a treasure of time. And so I also just want to say, reach out to us if we can help in any way. We're here for you, and we want to know how we can serve you better. And so bottom line, feel your feelings, give yourself permission to not be okay, but then empower yourself with the tools you need so you are okay. Keep believing, have faith, pray, keep working, and keep moving on forward. We love our rescue family. We can't wait to welcome our kids back because, as I've said before, our schools aren't meant to be silent and empty. We want our kids back.
Yeah, I love it. And even as a parent, like I've been able to be on the recipient end, because our kids are in your district, of just that deep love from you and from all of the teachers. It's real. And I'm just so grateful for it. And Aaron, I know for you, your kids are not quite kids. They're big kids. In the sense of high school, they're kids still. I understand, but maybe that's the problem. I see them and I just expect so much, but I love it. And I love your leadership there at Oak Ridge. For us as parents, any words of wisdom just to give us a shot in the arm of encouragement right now?
No, Cheryl said it. It's the patience and the grace, and we're not going to hold this against people. We're not going to let people fall behind. We realize what we have to do. We have a saying here. We're trying to create the opportunity to learn for those that have the benefit and they have the opportunity to learn. We want to provide the opportunity to learn, but we're also going to create an environment where those that can't because of life circumstances can be held harmless. So we want people to not. We don't want school and education to be another stressor in people's lives. People have enough stressors in their lives right now. 22 million people unemployed, and that was from Friday.
Wow.
They haven't updated the figures yet. The number of people showing up to get free food in our school lines is just growing. It's like doubled. So we know the impact is here. We don't want to add on to that. We have students and families getting very concerned about all the assignments and getting them all done just perfect and turning them in. And we just want to say, it's okay. Step back. If it's too much for your family, take a deep breath and step back. I'm telling you, I'm working all day. I'm doing these meetings. I have my third grader pulling on my sleeve every 2 seconds, asking me a question because she doesn't know what the next question on her homework is. And I feel schizophrenic going back and forth between the two. And I only have one child. I can't even imagine all the families out there with 2 or 3. You could have the most perfect situation happening at your home, and it could be a scattered wreck right now because that's what I feel like it is at my house sometimes, right? So we all just need to have that patience and grace. Like Cheryl said also, our teachers have been unbelievable, right? In any work environment, you've got different opinions and politics and things can be polarized. There's been nothing. It's been everyone 100% unified, solution-oriented, no complaining. How can we do this? How can we make it better? I mean, we literally took this school of almost 2,500 kids and switched it from a brick and mortar institution to an online place of learning in less than 10 days.
Yeah.
And it happened because everyone got on board. And on top of that, we know we didn't roll it out just right. We know you don't do something of that magnitude and not make mistakes along the way. And parents have not been blowing us up saying, what are you doing? You're messing it up. You're doing it all. They're showing a great deal of patience with us as we're trying to learn this, improve it all the time, increase make the model better. So our parents have been incredible. I know they're spending a lot of time sitting at the dining room table with their kids, helping them with their work. I know students are in there and locked in and turning stuff in. But the big piece here is have flexibility, have some patience. If you can't do it one day, you can't do it one day, right? We've got things in place that will be able to help with that when we get there. And I am enjoying the extra time with my daughter. There's times where I'm trying to get my work done and she's, pulling on my sleeve and it's driving me crazy. But for the most part, we're going on more walks and hikes in the middle of the day.
Good.
You know what? We're all a little worked out right now. Let's just go. Let's just go for a walk.
I love it.
The best stuff that we've done.
I love it, man. And really, part of it for me is some of the things that we say at Vintage is it's not a setback, it's a setup, right? It's not an obstacle, it's an opportunity. And so to watch you guys lead into those realities of, hey, like this is all of our realities, and yet we're all together. We're all in this together. We're all pulling the same direction. Again, we were talking earlier, just the three of us. We're all just so humbled to serve in this community with so many amazing parents, and for me to serve with Aaron and with Cheryl. So again, thank you guys. We got a ton of questions that came in, and we're going to do our best to kind of plow through some of them. And so we expect that these are not exhaustive answers. So Cheryl and Aaron, don't feel the pressure here, but would love to just give some off the cuff thoughts about these questions that come up. The first couple I want to ask are kind of to both of you. I love the way they said this. Pretend you're talking to a first-time teacher, because all of us as parents are now first-time teachers. Some of us didn't sign up for that necessarily. We didn't go to school for that. So pretend you're talking to a first-time teacher at the beginning of the school year. What would you say to them? So what would you say to us as first-time rookie parental teachers?
Well, I'll jump in. It's funny you ask this question because, we have a whole group of new teachers every year here at Oak Ridge, and we hold a monthly meeting with our new teachers. And the first thing I want them to know is, the most important part in teaching and learning is relationships, right? Maintaining the relationship is more important than anything else. The next part we always ask is, how do you know that your kids know that your success is important to them, right? That we're all on this same page together, right? Teaching and learning is a human experience. It's a relationship experience. It's an emotional experience before it's this academic experience, right? People have to know you care before they want to know what you know, right? So you got to build those. With our kids, it's a little different, right? And especially, you've got that caring relationship established with your child, but it's that give and take. We say we used to say school is about teaching, but it's not about teaching. It's about learning, and it's about teaching and learning. And you can say you're teaching all day and night, but if learning's not happening, then you're not teaching, right? And it's that when you're working with your kid, it's that, well, what's working and what's not working, right? Yeah. And it's about listening to them, and it's getting their feedback. When my daughter tells me the other day, that's not the way we do it. It's not the way Miss Hughes wants us to do it. I was like, well, then you teach me how Miss Hughes wants you to do it, right?
That's good.
Teaching me, you'll learn it yourself, right?
Yeah.
But it's just maintaining that this is less to do about the schoolwork and more to do about how we are going to work with each other to get this done, show each other some patience, love. And every once in a while, I just got to stop and remind her, I'm like, hey, I love you. You love me. We're both working on the same goal here. How do we want to do this? This isn't about me beating a square peg into a round hole. Let me get your input. How we got to do this. How do you want to do it?
That's great. And I love it, right? We know as educators that actually when we have to teach someone, we're going to learn even better than if we were just quote unquote learning it. I can't wait though for all the kids to come back and be like, well, that's not the way that my daddy teacher taught me how to do that. I think those are going to be great moments as we have reunion. Cheryl, what would you tell us as first time teachers?
Oh my goodness. I don't think I could add anything to what Aaron said. That was just beautiful. And I would just reiterate that it is all about relationships first, and taking care of the social emotional aspects so that then the academics can come along. And again, in this situation, just being able to sit back and breathe and realize that you don't have to do it all at once. And if it's too much, then back off and take it a little bit at a time, little chunk at a time. And like I've said before, give yourself grace.
That's a good word. And I love all the memes. Again, I don't know, we might be overwhelmed. We might have too much time on our hands and our creativity, but all the things like, when do we get to see who our teacher is next fall? Like, we can't wait. My kid wants a new teacher. Just giving each other grace, our kids grace, asking for grace as parents. I think that's huge. Like, I think my kids grow more through me apologizing to them than through me always modeling the quote unquote right way to do it. And again, at the end of the day, we're their moms and their dads, not their teachers. And that role doesn't change every school year. And so I love the role of teachers. We as parents, I think I've seen that meme a lot too. It's time to raise teacher salaries because we recognize it's not an easy deal at all. Here's another question for both of you. Cheryl, your district takes them up through 8th grade. Aaron, you receive these 8th graders at Oak Ridge. Any tips that we can do to be preparing our 8th graders for high school and our 5th graders for middle school, especially those who are in those transition years?
Well, I think for fifth graders going into sixth grade, that'll be fairly easy just because we'll know where they've been and where we kind of left off and be able to address that at the beginning of the year and make sure everything is shored up. And I'm sure that same thing, kids transitioning from 8th grade into 9th grade, our schools collaborate. They talk about what the high school needs for us to do in order to adequately prepare our kids to move on. And I know this time it'll look a little different, but that will happen, I'm sure. And I know that the high school teachers, they're going to be aware of some of the gaps and some of the things that they need to come back and touch on as they head into their freshman year. So I think because we're all in this together, literally, it's going to be okay. We're going to work through it.
Awesome. Aaron, anything you'd add to that?
Yeah, I would say passion, time, and place, right? When it comes down to passion, when you start to get to high school, it starts to become about what fuels you, right? What fills your engine? We all as students and all as adults, we do a lot of things that we have to do. But you start getting to high school and you start to have some more choice about setting you up to what you're going to do after high school, right? And the most important thing sometimes in high school is to figure out what you don't want to do, right? It's to try a little bit of everything and find out what you like and don't like so you don't waste mom and dad's money when you show up to college and you blew the first year or two, right?
Yeah.
We had a student we put off on an internship because was absolutely positively convinced wanted to be a dentist in the med program, and then went there, was there for like a month and went, I hate dentistry. I never, blah, 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 blah. But some of the bigger pictures, what is your, find that passion, keep exploring. Do you find that thing? What I love about high school, and I'm sure this exists in lots of schools, but we have over, 70 clubs. We have so many different career pathways. We have so many different electives that you can take. I just feel like we have something for every passion out there. We have something that you can engage in, whether it's a culinary class, whether it's a manufacturing, whether it's healthcare professions club, right? Whether it's the fishing club. School becomes really daunting and school becomes a grind when all you do is go to 6 classes every day and do the work. And there's some way to tap in. So then I come down to place. What is that thing? What is that thing you're going to belong to? Oak Ridge is a big place. It's 2,500 kids. And if you're just one kid floating around in 2,500, it can be overwhelming. So I always ask people, what's going to be your place? Is it going to be that lunchtime club that meets once a week? Is it going to be marching band? Is it going to be the tennis team? Is it going to be choir? Is it going to be the service learning club? What's that place? What's that small community that you can join to make this big place feel like a smaller place, right? Where you've got your community of people. We have really seen that makes a big difference, and the research shows that makes a big difference when you find your people and your place, and you're not just coming and doing 6 classes and leaving at the end of the day. And then time is a huge one. I don't know what it is about students at Oak Ridge, but they love to overcommit themselves and do way more than they have time to do.
It's their parents, man.
And maybe who knows, right? And so we're just saying, do you have 8 hours a day to sleep? You're supposed to sleep 9. There's this window of time between like 16 and 24 when you're supposed to be sleeping like 9 hours a day. Wow. Do you have time to sleep? Do you have time to just be human beings with your family, right? Or are we going to baseball practice and our hitting coach and then tutoring rocks and then over here and over there, and we got ourselves stretched too thin. We really get ourselves stretched way too thin. And if this moment in time has taught us anything, we've been running around like chickens with our heads cut off during the normal year. And do we need to scale back a little bit? When our students fill out time wheels, it's unbelievable. I just don't know when they sleep or when they get to build bonds with their family.
Yeah.
So those would be my 3 pieces of advice.
Mm-hmm.
Academic, we have great teachers. The academic, all our kids come to us prepared, and our teachers do a great job. The academics happen. It's the other things that takes intentionality.
On one level, we as parents can't mess up our kids. We got to love our kids, lead them, be broken with them. Now, Cheryl, something you and I have talked about is just the increased anxiety in the sense of the unknown. I mean, if you ask a little 6-year-old, what are you afraid of? And part of it's the fear of the unknown. And we still are living in this world. Even as I leave my team, I'm like, we can't be planning June because we don't know what June's going to look like. Let's just be present today. Any wisdom for us as parents that are dealing with kids that are anxious? And unfortunately, it's not a science, right? Like every kid, I have 3 kids and they're all different. One's a perfectionist, and I'm like, it's not a big deal. Cheryl said it's not a big deal. But still, how do we love these kids in the mix of their anxiety potentially increasing?
I think, again, just doing a lot of listening, being present with them, doing things with them, showing them that you're there, whether it's, again, like the reading, the playing games, doing activities with them. I think that makes a big difference. I also know that our counselors are available too, and they're doing some of their whole class lessons with kids on Zoom, and they're focusing on things like anxiety and what to do during this time, or if you do start to feel anxious, reminding them of their breathing exercises and some of these things that they do regularly at school, but now that we're not in technically school, they can still do some of these things at home too. And so I think all those kinds of things are just going to be really important that we continue focusing on those aspects so our kids don't feel overly anxious, but they know what to do or where to go, or who to talk to if they are starting to feel overwhelmed. And so I think it's important for parents too. If you are wondering how to best help your child, you can reach out to our church or to our counselors at the schools, because they all have office hours too. And they're more than happy to talk to you or communicate with you. I know that. Principals, teachers, counselors.
Yeah. And I love it. That's something I took from our time, even as we were on kind of the pre-call, just syncing up, was Oak Ridge has got you. Rescue Union's got you. Like, these teachers, they're with you, they're for you. And just the freedom for me as a dad to be like, Drew, you really can't mess your kid up. Just be present with them. And again, it was funny. They walked over. I was about to pull my kids on the call because he got my older son telling my daughter, no, dad's in a meeting. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, let's go. Come on. Like, just that idea of being authentic and real and letting your kid interrupt your Zoom call or whatever it might be, to lower that anxiety. And I appreciate that. We're Americans. We're hard chargers. And so kind of take some of that pressure off. Is definitely what I've received from the two of you. So I appreciate that a ton. Now, Aaron, I was joking with you. A lot of the questions that came in for high school were parents more like brass tacks. Let's talk about finals. I'm just going to read a couple of them. You can address them as you want. What's the plan regarding finals? Will students be responsible for cumulative exams? Will there be forms available to change courses for next year? What are those dates they need to be returned? High school is so important for college. What's the top of the things that my kid needs to know before we send them off? I mean, there's like the world is ending and I don't want my kids' world to end. What are some of those things that you would point towards our high school parents?
Yeah. Well, let me dive into a little bit of all of those. You know, finals, is there going to be a traditional final? No, not by any means. We're really just trying to focus on providing learning as an opportunity. I'll talk a little bit about how we're going to do that and what you're going to start to see soon. Will there be assessments? Yes, but really we're focusing on the work that students are doing and demonstrating on a daily basis, and that is coming in. What we are working on, what parents are going to start to see, and part of what we're talking about is holding people harmless, is the CDE and the CSU and the state system. The two college systems and the California Department of Education have really done a good job around putting out expectations and talking about how they're going to address this. And pretty much they're doing everything in their power to hold people harmless, right? They're saying, you know, if you don't have we're not going to be looking at SAT, ACT because you don't have an opportunity to retake and do it better this year. We're probably not even going to take it next year, right? And what they're saying is, so we are going to comply with what they are putting on there.
Okay.
And they're not the end all, but I think what they've done some really good work. And what they said is, no one should be held highly accountable for what's going on right now. I mean, is there even any validity in the grades we're giving out? We don't even know who's doing the work at home, right? So what we're saying is we want to make sure that students and parents have the opportunity to continue doing the learning. We're going to provide students with an option here at the end. They can either accept a letter grade or they can accept a pass-fail. They say it's not even a fail; it's going to be a pass or a no mark, right? Mm-hmm. So if you accept a pass or no mark, colleges are going to accept it. If it's a no mark, that's not an F. That means you just don't get credit, right? So you're held harmless at that point in time. Yeah. And we're going to ask every single student to tell us for each class: do you want a letter grade, or do you want a pass or a no mark? You know, and every family's got a different situation and knows what they want. It's really looking like the college system is just going to say this semester is probably a wash, and it's going to factor very little into admissions. If you declare a letter grade, they'll accept that and factor it into your GPA. If you do a pass, they're not going to factor that into your GPA, but they'll accept that. So everyone is just trying to peel back the pressure and be like, we understand that every single family is going through something right now, right? Maybe you don't have a parent that's been laid off. Maybe you've got a computer for every kid in the house. You're still going through something, mm-hmm. right? There's all these things happening. So we understand that we can't put a whole lot of weight on the academics that are out there because there's just the accountability, validity issues of it. But we're going to do the best we can and kind of the day-to-day learning that students are doing. If you want a letter grade, we'll assign you one. Is there going to be some grade inflation, this semester? Yeah, I'm absolutely positive there is, and I'm okay with that. No. Right? Because this is bigger than grades right now, right? This is just about people being healthy, and if people want to engage the opportunity to learn, our teachers are rolling out what is necessary to do that and move on. So I hope that answers some of it. Did I miss any part of that?
No, I think it answers a lot of it. I appreciate the more holistic, big picture perspective. I'm a CrossFitter, so I do like 6 to 8 minute workouts. And this year I felt led to run a marathon, and I still think it's stupid. And so I don't mean to offend anybody, but I think running's dumb. And yet it's about endurance and it's about the long game. And I think we can get short-sighted in saying, okay, how do we do this? We got we have a phrase at Vintage. We say heaven over Harvard. And so for us, it's like, what matters most? I'm not anti-Harvard. Harvard's great. It never mattered to me because I was never going to get in. But it's this idea of like, what's your why? The depth of your why will determine the length of your what, and like how hard you're willing to run after something. And so if we can keep that big picture perspective, that holistic learning, that I'm their dad before I'm their teacher, and we praise God for our teachers, but how do we walk with them? And that's just where, again, if you're listening, if you're a Vintage family, if you're a guest just listening right now live, I just can't speak highly enough of Cheryl and Aaron and the teams that they're leading. I'm even seeing in the chat just a ton of our teachers at Vintage from Pondo and from Oak Ridge and people that are jumping on. It's just awesome. And so again, teachers, thank you, thank you, thank you. I know we haven't been able to get to all the questions. I do have one last one, just because I think it talks more about the bigger picture, the more holistic perspective that we're all trying to hold to. I know that you and a lot of the employees and teachers and faculty, extended staff, you're taking time to pass out food to families who need it. How's that going, and why are we doing that?
Well, it's actually been pretty incredible. And I think Aaron mentioned that we've seen such an increase in numbers, how many families that we're actually reaching. And we are actually going to move to a different format this next week, starting Monday. We've been doing it daily, and we've been providing that day's lunch and the next day's breakfast each day. And then one day a week, we've partnered with the El Dorado County Food Bank and we've been able to provide the entire family with an additional box of food. But apparently there are a couple other districts in the area that have gone to a weekly meal passing out, and so they have just increased exponentially how many they're serving. And so starting Monday, we're going to give any family that comes, they're going to get their whole week's worth of meals at one time. But just awesome. Outpouring of appreciation and love, and it's been really good for the kids. I've missed, this is my third day that I've missed because I was doing this, but so I'm virtually always out there. And the kids are just so happy to see somebody they know, and when they see their teacher out there or somebody from their school, their faces just light up. And now we know them all, and to have conversations with them. And I just think it's helped our families feel more connected and a little more normal to see somebody that they know and be able to have that little bit of contact. That's just what I found.
That's great.
Yeah, and if I could just add to that, summarize a little bit. On a day-to-day basis, Oak Ridge has 181 students on free and reduced lunch. So there is a need in El Dorado Hills. And we started off feeding those 181 kids. I mean, whether you are learning or school or you're learning at home, you can't learn if you're hungry. Mm-hmm. And we started off doing the same on a daily basis, giving kids lunch and breakfast. As far as I know, that we're going to continue with that model. We are kind of combining our efforts. So we're serving Pondo and Oak Ridge students because we're all one district at Ponderosa right now. And what has started to happen is families are hearing about it, and they're just showing up, and they're not part of this free and reduced lunch list. So it's not a piece that we're reimbursed for, so to speak. But our lunch folks are so great. They are ensuring that nobody goes away hungry. Right? Awesome. And we're just going to absorb that cost as we have to. But every family that shows up is getting something. We're making partnerships, like Cheryl just said, with the food bank right now, and to get even more support for families, because as people are losing their jobs, they're showing up saying, "Hey, my kid needs to eat. Don't worry about me. My kid needs to eat." Well, now we're feeding their kids, but now we're trying to figure out how to feed them also.
Yeah.
Well, there's actually a waiver. We've filed a waiver, and so anybody can come get the meals as long as they're 18 or younger. And then the food bank food, of course, is for anybody in the family. So, but we're up to 700 and 800 meals a day, but know that it'll probably double once we go to the once a week. So it'll be pretty significant.
Well, thank you guys, just as the way you're leading. And again, thinking about the holistic person, right? And the student and the child here. And you guys are modeling that from the top down, and we're feeling it as parents. And so something I keep seeing on the live chat, and even some of the questions came over, they weren't questions, they were just compliments to you guys. And so just thankful for you. I read recently, in fact, I'm going to ask Vintage Grace to link it in the comments here. But I shared it at church on Sunday, but this idea that we're all in the same boat together. And I read something, it's an anonymous source, unknown author, but they said it this way, and I like it. We're actually not all in the same boat. We're in the same storm, but we're in different boats, different sizes. Some are capsizing, some are getting shipwrecked. And the point is that we all have a role to play in the storm. And I just want to thank you guys for playing your role faithfully, for serving selflessly. It very much matches kind of what we hope to be as a church. Even as we were talking as a staff recently, someone asked me, why did you go to so much effort to do the Easter egg hunt that we did for the community a couple weeks ago? And it was because it was just the need that we saw in a way to share joy. And you guys are doing that, whether it be food, whether it be classes, Zoom calls with glossy eyes as we stare at the computer screen. Like, I just want to say thank you for all the ways that you're doing it. And one of the things that we say, our church name is Vintage Grace. And the word grace means unmerited favor. Because I do think that we live in a world that we think we deserve, we earn, we achieve things. And that's true in lots of ways. But we can't earn the love of God. But even more so, I want to give you and your teacher something that isn't it is merited. It's not grace. Grace is unmerited, unearned favor. I just want you guys to know you guys have earned a ton of favor. And we're just so grateful to be in this city, in this community with you guys. And so something that we want to do as a church is we've got something called 838 Coffee. And 838 Coffee for us, that the name 838 stands for the amount of money that child-headed households get in Africa and Uganda for a whole month of food. I love how you said that, Aaron. Like, you can't learn if you're hungry. We call it hangry when Drew preaches too long on a Sunday morning when people, well, you can just see it right in the seats. Now I don't see it because they're in the living room. They just go get their own food during the sermon. But when you're hangry, you can't learn. And 838 allows us as a church to send $8.38 back to Africa to help these child-headed households. And so for every bag, it goes towards that. And so what we wanted to do as a church is we wanted to say thank you to the teachers in your schools and in your districts, because you are pouring into our kids. You are investing in their holistic lives. And we want to pour into your teachers' cups. And so we're going to give every teacher in your guys' school in your districts a bag of 838 coffee. And so even as they're drinking the coffee, we just want them to know, we know it's not easy. Again, I've got my 3 kids. They're doing a Zoom call, a lecture, whatever it is. We know it's hard. May is Teacher Appreciation Month, typically around here. And so we at Vintage just wanted to kick that off. And so, Aaron, we're going to drop off whatever those bags are next week. Cheryl, we're going to bring them to the school district.
So much.
Thank
so
you.
We've got, yeah, thank you guys. And so we're going to give that to all your teachers. And it's just an easy way for us to say, we want to make a difference here, there, and everywhere. And you guys are. You are making a difference. So I'm just humbled. I'm thankful.
Well, Drew, I'm humbled by that. You know, education takes a village. Raising children takes a village. There's no part of the community that can be absent in it. And people always ask, you know, how do your schools get such good test results? I say, it's not the schools. It's the community. It's the parents. It's the churches. It's the CSD. It's all of us. Education and educating young people is a priority for this community. And you guys are just another great symbol of that. I know our teachers would greatly appreciate that. And I want to thank you on behalf of all of them. That is beyond generous of your church. Thank you.
Cool.
Very beautiful. Just thank you so much for that gesture. And I echo what Aaron says. It's just amazing to have such an incredible team. And it really is a team, from the parents to the churches, to the community, to the staffs, everybody working together to make it work for our kids. And it's just means a lot. So thank you.
I love it. I'm humbled to be on your guys' team. I'm humbled to have you on our team. And so we look forward to, again, just filling your teachers' cups, but just thanking them for continually, selflessly, faithfully filling our kids' lives with joy and with love and with hope. Because we do know that this season will pass, and we're going to be there on the other side, and not just the other side of a computer screen, right? Like, we're going to be on the other side of life and continue to move on. So thank you, Cheryl and Aaron. If you have a student or a teacher that is not a part of the Oak Ridge School District or the school district with Rescue Union, you can text this number to let us know who your teacher is. You can text VG Connect to 474747. And maybe you're watching this live and you're like, wait, my student isn't a part of that district, or my teacher, I want them to have a bag of 838 coffee. No worries. Text that number, VG Connect, and you can fill out a little card. Let us know who your teacher is, and what school they're at. And we would love to honor them too, because we just think the world of our teachers and want to appreciate them. So that's VG Connect to 474747. So Aaron, Cheryl, thank you. I know you guys have jobs to get to, and kids and family, and hopefully some hikes and some walks. Let me pray over you guys. Lord, I just thank you for the grace of today. I thank you that you meet us as we are and where we are, and yet you love us so much to not leave us there. And you've given us phenomenal people in our lives, like Aaron and Cheryl, and all the teachers in our city and in our region. And so we just thank you for the grace. We thank you for their leadership, and we pray that you would continue to fill their cups as they fill ours. And so we pray this because we do know that you're doing something for your glory and for the good of our city. We pray these things. Amen.
Amen.
All right, guys, thank you. We have a system at Vintage Grace to close things out, because everyone's like, are we done? Are we not? I'm a former wannabe athlete, and so I always clap at the end of everything because I think we're breaking huddle and we're going back into the game. So with that being said, we are out. Thank you, guys.